We are a new NFT platform, basically empowering creatives, artists such as Busta to, connect with their fans like never before, and basically putting the power back into the creatives' hands. We see, 88% of music revenue going to non-artists. Once people get the middlemen get involved and whatnot. Here at the Hustle, we want to change that. We want to use the technologies that we have available to us, which is NFTs and blockchain technologies, to empower creatives to get what they want out to the world. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, where you live. Bus is going to be doing a drop tomorrow. Wherever you live, you can have access to that, and that's a really cool thing that blockchain allows us to have. So, without further ado, Bus, we have some questions. We want to talk about everything. So, everyone, just so you know, Bus is going to be doing a drop tomorrow. He's going to on our site. It's his collection. It's the Dragon collection, and just so you guys know, it's three tiers. We're going to have a gold, silver, and a red. Basically, there's going to be 300 of each on different classes, starting with zero point 0.2 ETH, zero point 0.1 ETH, and zero point 0.05 ETH. And 10% of everyone who buys each class is going to be entered into winning certain rewards. So special perks that Buster's agreed to do. So it's really cool and it's really meaningful to him because this is his first collection. There's a lot of meaning behind the word dragon, which we'll get into. And for those that may not be able to or may not want to, buy or maybe don't have the funds, we also allow you to, if you own Hustle token, you can stake onto our site and earn bags, and you will be able to get a lot of cool things from Busta as well. So without further ado, Bus, first of all, man, how are you?
I'm good. Everything is good.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Yeah. So I have some questions, man, because a lot of people want to know. So first things first, man. Just tell us, man. How did you come into the NFT space, and what made you want to partner with Hustle?
Well, you know, coming into the NFT space pretty much happened from the way that I personally get involved with anything in general. Um, I gotta like it. Once I figure it out and I try to understand how it works, and if it intrigues me enough, and I grow an appreciation for it, then I get involved with it because it has to always be something that I feel good about, passionate about, and that I just genuinely like and I'm interested in. So that's initially how it happened, and then I guess through the course of the time that has you know passed, doing my research and figuring out what I wanted to do in the NFT space, who I wanted to do it with, and just how the inner workings of the NFT space worked. I ended up feeling and thinking and seeing that it kind of made sense to partner up with the Hustle for my first NFT collection and launch, and I'm pretty excited about this shit, man.
Yeah, man. We're excited, but the community around in crypto is definitely excited. I can tell you first and foremost that it's super cool to having. Obviously I've gotten to know you for a while, and it's really cool. But just it's super cool to see that you actually have a passion and a curiosity about not just NFTs, but crypto in general. And I just think that's really authentic. And people who are all about crypto like myself, and everyone probably listening here really likes that about you. Obviously, you're a legend in the hip hop game, but now transitioning into the NFT world, our little domain. I think we see you and we appreciate you. I think it's safe to say I speak for everyone here. So yeah, really really cool that you're in the NFT space. So I guess now I have another question for you because this has come up too. Like, what do you like? You're a man with many many ideas. So, do you ever find yourself, I guess, running out of ideas? What inspires you?
The moment inspires me. Other great creatives inspire me. Um, I'm just a passionate person when it comes to this art shit, and creation and being creative. This has been something that's, you know, a part of my DNA since I was old enough to identify that it was in my blood, and it was in my heart. It was in my soul. Like, you know, I love to create recreationally. So once I realized, as I got older, that the shit that I just loved to do for fun and for free was able to actually feed my family, you know, it made it even a more pleasurable experience because, when I'm being creative, I'm not feeling like I'm working. I'm just doing shit that I love. You know what I'm saying? So, um, running out of ideas doesn't really happen. There's times when you go into a space where the ideas aren't coming at the pace that you wanted to, but you learn to allow the creative brilliance that you identify with within yourself and within your ability. You when you realize that it has to manifest organically, you just sometimes gotta just let the shit come when it comes. I think motherfuckers experience that word or that term, running out of ideas when you trying to control the pace that being creative has to happen. You can't control that shit all the time. Sometimes you come in the studio and you don't come up with shit. That don't mean that you're running out of ideas. That just means the shit ain't get to you yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like going fishing. Sometimes you're going fishing and shit. You throw the damn bait in the water on the hook of the fishing rod. Million motherfucking fishes in that water, but none of them choose to bite the bait. You sitting out there for hours. You see the fishes swimming around, but you don't catch nothing. But then eventually, 2, 3 days later, you come back to that same pond, that same river. You catch 12 fucking fish in the same day. You feel me? So it's pretty much the same philosophy. It's like you just got to allow the creative process to happen from an organic place, an organic pace. And when it comes in the abundances, sometimes that even supersede your level of expectation.
I love that, man. I love the fact that it's organic. You let it go at the pace that it's supposed to happen. You don't force it, you don't push it. You let it come to you. That's deep, man. I definitely like that answer right there. Thanks for sharing that, my man. And then I guess, okay, so another question. So let's talk about the dragon, right? Obviously, your NFT collection is inspired by the dragon, and the dragon's been, a symbol for you for ever, for decades, really. It's something near and dear to your heart. So, do you mind, I guess, telling, all the listeners here, the NFT enthusiasts, or just and your fans, your music fans all around the world, what is the true meaning of the dragon? Why is it so powerful and near and dear to your heart?
I think that all started when my father used to take me to the movie theaters in East Flatbush, Brooklyn, when there was always a dope karate flick in the theater. So, Bruce Lee and shit, Enter the Dragon, Return of the Dragon. I just loved as a kid watching him whoop everybody ass and being super machismo and super cool. And, the chicks loved him. He was the tough guy, but he was not a tough guy from a bullying perspective. It was just when it was time to handle his business, he handled that shit with a ferocious level of handling it. But it was done with grace and with integrity. And the confidence and the sureness that was displayed through what he represented as the dragon as well is really where the inception of that came from for me as a child. And I think, you know it kind of felt like that's who and what I evolved into as an artist, especially being I'm like very competitive. My like I have an extremely competitive nature. When I rhyme on records with other artists, the goal is to bust everybody's ass on the record. Just like when Bruce Lee got into of a situation where he had to fight someone one on one, or if he had to fight 20, 30 motherfuckers, he bust everybody's ass in the situation. But I always like to compete respectably, unless someone was to be disrespectful about the competition. Then the dynamic of how we compete changes. And at the end of the day, I refuse to accept being a weak link in any situation, because I also feel like it's a responsibility of yours, especially when you represent a team, a movement, a group, a clique. And I came from being in a group. You know, my first group was called Leaders of the New School. We put out our first album 30 years ago, July 30th. So this is my 30-year anniversary as a professional recording artist. And, you know, leading the new anything was something that we lived. It wasn't just a cool group name. It was a name that we had to earn. It was a name that we felt we were able to represent thoroughly based on the way we lived. So it became more of a name. It was like an attribute. And, you know, as a member of that group and how I was raised, and by the greats that we were blessed to be groomed and taught from and influenced by, you know, steel is supposed to sharpen steel. So you don't want to be the reason that the group falls short in any capacity or any dynamic when it came to records, especially when it came to performing live on a stage. Those same perspectives are applied to everything that I do, especially in the creative space, even when I'm not on stage, even when I'm not making records. I like to do things that still sets the standard. I like to do things that still comes from a place that seems like I'm leading as opposed to following. I like to do things that come from a space that feels like if I'm involved, it's going to be one of the best things that not only happens to it, but that should happen to the culture of it. So I'm trying to be the best within whatever exists, so that I am a representation of not only what I'm directly a part of within this space, but also able to bring the best out of everyone else that's involved in this space, because that's just the way I was bred and conditioned and groomed and taught. You know, empowering each other is what it's always about, and you can only do that if you lead the charge and leading by example. So that's pretty much where that comes from.
Massive respect, man. And so, like for NFT, NFT collectors out there and whatnot, you can see the passion and with what the dragon means to Busta, and I just find that so cool when we're thinking about ideas as to like what we can do. Because at the end of the day, we want to give value for the creator to the, but more importantly to the collectors out there. It's empowering the collectors and the creatives. So we're throwing ideas out there. What would be very near and dear to Busta's heart, and instantly it was the dragon. And as you can tell by the story, there's 30 years in the business, and if you're a collector in the space, you are getting something so near and dear to Busta's heart. And in the NFT world, it's all about having, collecting something with a story behind it, right? If there's no story, not many people really care about it. But with you, Busta, the fact that the dragon has literally followed you for 30 plus years, I think that's super cool. And you are a leader, and that's actually one of the reasons what I respect most about you. You're a leader in the space, and you're willing to try new things, and you're willing to give out 100% in everything you do, especially in something completely brand new to you, which is the NFT world. I have massive respect for you, and just wanted to let you know that. So thank you for sharing that, bro.
Thank you, man.
Definitely. So yeah, man. Okay, so let's shift to another question that I had. So obviously, NFTs at the hustle, what we're trying to do is empower creatives, change the way music's done, and how artists can, interact with their fans. We see a massive opportunity to basically change the way the music industry operates. We're focused only on the music creatives and nothing else. Not we don't care about sports. We don't care about anything else but music. And so we see a lot of potential for disruption. Obviously, NFTs and blockchain. But we're a blockchain company, so It's always great to know, though, from an artist point of view, such as you, Bus, a legend who, is very new to the NFT world. Kind of what are your thoughts in the sense of, what excites you the most about NFTs? And in your opinion, like, how do you see this impacting the music industry?
Um, the first thing is this: creative freedom is the apex of what appeals the most to me in the NFT space. Period. Secondly, again, you have the ability to make significant money doing something that you genuinely love to do, even if there was no money involved. And you don't got to leave your house to do the shit. You know what I'm saying? You could come up with a brilliant piece of art, and the whole planet can get access to whatever it is that you share, you care to share, and choose to welcome people to you and the access that they have to you from a creative space that is a thought, is an emotion, it's a vibe. It can be inspired by all of these beautiful things that are personal to you, and no one can mix, dilute, or tamper with it. Um, and if they attempt to, obviously, that is it's a direct um, compromise in every capacity to what you are sharing from a holy, sacred, and pure place. As far as how I feel about the way it's going to impact, and not how it could impact, but it's going to impact the music industry, is it completely eliminates the many different layers in the infrastructure of the music industry that does contaminate the beauty of your honest creation. And it eliminates that corruptive shit. Um, and I think that is going to appeal to the creatives more than anything else, because I think, and I know firsthand from experience and from a lot of my peers' experience, that the industry has exhausted themselves in that way, which compromises their relationships with artists in significant fashions. So, the more artists that understands the space and, you know, gets a clear perspective on how this works, and I'm still learning personally. I'm just attracted to what I have learned thus far enough to even want to be directly involved. But with the little that I've been able to learn, it that little bit of information alone has superseded, what I have come to know for 30 years in the music industry by far. So the impact is going to happen rapidly. I'm just glad that I'm able to get in this space sooner than later with, a support system and a team of people that understands not only how to, you know, function properly in this space, but also understand and respect the artists and the creative integrity of artists that is trying to be in this space. And then particularly my brand value as a 30-year legacy, which, by the way, I'm just getting fucking started. So there's so much more shit left that I'm gonna be doing and I'm getting ready to do. And it's an honor and a pleasure to be able to experience more new shit and be a part of leading this new charge, while it's still, kind of new and fresh. It's definitely a good feeling, and it's good to be a part of something that is going to shift the climate of how things work in the music industry sooner than later.
And when you say, everything you say is so spot on, but one thing, when you're saying sooner than later, you're basically establishing yourself as a pioneer, it's not just in hip hop, but in music. There's other music artists, your peers who have been a part of, NFTs, right? But, from an outside perspective, and no offense to anyone else, they are not leading the charge in the hip hop world like you are, in the sense of getting integrated with our community, doing these sessions with the crypto world. Most of them aren't doing that. And the fact that you understand where things are going, you deserve a lot of credit because, we speak to a lot of different people, a lot of your peers. They just don't get it. They don't understand where the industry is heading. Maybe they just want a quick buck. But for you, it's not like that. All that stuff is secondary because what you want to do is become a pioneer, become a leader because you are a leader. And that's what inspired me to, get down with you initially when we met many months ago. And that's what excited me about you because, I like to surround myself with influential individuals like yourself who want to try something new but understand where the industry is heading. And in the music world, especially, this type of technology is something that is very much needed. It's not a fad. There's some people outside in the world, the normie world, as we call it. They're, oh, this is a fad, NFTs. It's not. It really is not. It's about empowering and doing things differently. And NFTs happen to radically transform, have the ability to radically transform the music industry. And you being at the forefront of it is exciting to me because obviously our association together, but just sitting in the background and watching you do your thing, it's really really cool to see, man. So, anyways, yeah. So let's continue the questions. I want to keep these going because there's a lot that you have to say. A lot of here's a question. This is more along the lines of crypto in general, not necessarily NFTs. I kind of want to know, man. Like, what do you think? What excites you about Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? Because obviously you have a lot of tweets coming these days about Bitcoin and a lot of Bitcoin, regardless of anyone's opinion on Bitcoin maxis or not. Bitcoin is, the key driver in this space. And, you've shown a lot of love for Bitcoin. You've shown a lot of love for Ethereum. So, what excites you about those two currencies?
What excites me about it is the learning experience. It's very intriguing to me, the space. It's very intriguing to me how it works. I'm still trying to learn how it works. I'm still trying to understand it. I'm being given a lot of incredible information by incredibly huge and powerful people in the space, and just being able to engage and be a part of a network web of just great people that I can continue to learn from is exciting alone to me. Like, I was always taught to never be the smartest in the room. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm around people that are already successful in a space that I am fascinated by, and then, through me sharing my fascination publicly and watching the support of my willingness to learn being offered to me by people in that space that is extremely well versed in that space. They are successful in that space. They are successful outside of that space, you know. And interestingly, before I started to express this interest in this space, I didn't really have any communication with a lot of these people. So I'm actually grateful to the fact that this space existed enough for me to be interested in it, to express my interest in it, which then led to me being able to now have new relationships with new people that are not only people that I can learn from, but people that are excited about supporting me and schooling me in the space. So for me, that's really been what has impacted me and the Ethereum and crypto space. And I just feel excited about what I've been learning, what I'm trying to still learn, what I have to look forward to in the process of the learning, and being able to have access to these new incredible people that probably prior or with maybe without this crypto and Ethereum interest, I probably would not have been speaking to these people as soon as I expressed my interest, let alone maybe at all. So, I think that's really what did it for me.
Awesome, man. Yeah, because like Bitcoin and Ethereum, obviously, from my perspective at least, are the two most important cryptos in the industry. Obviously, shout out to the hustle token as well, but for the rewards are going to be given. But all jokes aside, no, Bitcoin and Ethereum represent power, represent freedom, really, and the fact that Ethereum, especially with the NFTs, tomorrow's purchase for Busta's NFTs, you're going to be using only Ethereum, right? So it's a global currency in the sense that anywhere around the world can open up their MetaMask wallet, Web3 wallet, whatever, and pay. It doesn't matter if you're in Japan, London, China, India, well, maybe not China, India, Russia, wherever, Portugal. Busta Rhymes is going to be putting out content out there, whether in this case it's, you know, um, representations of the dragon, but in the future it could be, unreleased songs, it could be concert tickets into the metaverse. Anything that Busta wants to do anywhere around the world, people can buy that. So that's power, that's freedom. That's what cryptocurrency stand for. So I definitely second your take. And so a couple more, questions before we open up to some listeners. Let's just take it into music, right? Let's step aside from crypto. Let's chat about, you know, let's chat about some music. What, out of all the albums you put out, and you put out some bangers, you put out, you know, some of the most legendary albums of all time. Some people call you the best, one of the best MCs in the world ever. I second that. Out of the ones that you put out personally, which one do you think is your most favorite? Which one, do you hold near and dear to your heart? And if there's any song in particular that stands out to you that resonates, which one would that be?
That's a difficult question because I put out albums because they feel like they're my favorite bodies of work at that time. If I didn't feel like it was my favorite shit at that time, it would not be ever released. So at the times that the albums were released, they were my favorite albums. Now, looking back in hindsight, now that I'm, in a different space, I don't have one favorite album. I have a few favorite albums. Um, I would think just off the top of my head, my first, second, and third solo albums, The Coming When Disaster Strikes, Extinction Level Event, the Big Bang album that I did with Dr. Dre when I was at Aftermath, the Genesis album, and my latest body of work, Extinction Level Event 2. Those would probably be my favorite albums out of the 9 solo albums that I've made, not including the 2 Leaders albums and the Flip Mode album. Those were group albums, but out of my solo albums, I think those were my favorite.
Yeah, man, those are definitely some. I mean, there personally, man, they're just for me. I mean, you put out so many great things, and I vividly remember. I mean, you probably don't remember this, but like when you've toured the world, right? And I just remember in 2003, I was a student at UCSD, and you played at like one of our events. I'm sure you traveled to a lot of colleges, and dude, I just remember like being a sophomore in college and just listening to you and just seeing how fast you spoke and like rhymed. It was so like sometimes it's hard to separate the business CEO versus like a fan. And I do remember, you being a big part of my childhood, as well as probably a lot of people in this room can, grew up on your stuff. So it's really cool to see kind of what you think is your favorites and whatnot. So I mean, there are a few people who've raised their hand. I know Alex Rifkin wanted to ask a question. I'm trying to get him on board. I don't know where if he can join him, but in between, while we wait for Alex to ask, Busta, I kind of want to turn the stage to you in the sense of like, your loyal listeners are here, your loyal fans, and maybe some new NFT enthusiasts who are maybe new to your career. The floor is yours. Do you have anything you want to kind of tell them at this moment?
Yeah, I just, want to always show my appreciation for the people that has been a part of this journey of mine's musically and professionally as a recording artist. And, y'all have been able to grow with me throughout the years. You know what I'm saying? 30 years is a significant amount of time being able to do this shit. And it's, especially in these times, it's a little more challenging to keep people interested in the shit that you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So, hats off to everybody that's been, on this incredible journey with me. And again, I'm just getting started. The beauty of being in this incredible space at this stage of my career is all of the shit that I've learned in the last 30 years and that I've experienced in the last 30 years, I'm able to actually apply the shit while I'm still a dangerous motherfucker in this business creatively. And we're gonna have a lot of fun, even more so now than we probably ever did, because a lot of the shit that I was doing was learning as I went along. And the beauty in that is it all being fresh and new to you. You extremely excited in the moment, but I'm extremely excited in this moment in a different way, because now I'm able to not just do the shit from a place of learning as I'm going along. I'm able to now do this shit from a mastered sensei level. You know what I'm saying? So, if you thought you had fun with me before, this shit is about to get out of control on an undescribable level, as far as having fun and being able to experience where I go now creatively. And to everybody that is just now getting to learn and is being introduced to me for the first time as a recording artist and as a businessman, you know, do your homework on Busta Rhymes and go back and research so that you can bring yourselves up to speed on how much has been done throughout my 30 years of being a professional recording artist, an actor, film, television, fashion, um, as an executive, um, and primarily as a recording artist, and just you know be clear and have understanding, because understanding is obviously the best part. It's the absence of confusion. It will allow you and help you to appreciate the shit that I do as you experiencing it from this point moving forward, even more so. You know what I'm saying? So, I want to thank y'all too for getting on the Busta Rhymes cruise liner, and we're gonna sail the seven fucking seas together. And as we flood these fucking streets with more incredible content, just make sure you're ready for this ride, because it's gonna be a beautiful one. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell, man. I guess everything else that I want to say, I'd rather show you better than I could tell you. So you got to sit down in your motherfucking front row seats, get your popcorn, your 3D glasses, maybe a nice little alcohol beverage and a spliff, and enjoy what you about to experience, because this shit is definitely about to get more and more incredible.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. Nah, that's what's up, bro. And then, there's a few couple of speakers that I wanted just to kind of bring up and just ask you some questions. We'll just do a few, and then, I know your time is valuable, and we got a big day tomorrow with the launch. But I wanted to invite Alex. Alex, what's your question for Busta?
Bus, what up,
What's
King?
popping with you, bro?
Man, just working, just working. Just wanna got a question for you, but before that, I just want to say congrats on the early congratulations on your first NFT drop tomorrow. Super excited
Thank
for
you,
it.
man.
Um, no, 100. And I just before my question, also want to say I'm just grateful for the few conversations we've had, and just the wisdom that you're giving me, not just about music, but just about life in general. That night in the studio we met about right before the pandemic was one of the most inspiring nights I've had in my life. So I just wanted to say first off, thank you for that. And then, what
Oh,
kind of advice would you give to like young people like myself in the music industry that's trying to make an impact?
I mean, the only way that I can advise you in reference to how you make your impact is you got to make your presence felt, and you just need to do the shit that you feel good about, because that's the shit that you're gonna feel the most confident doing when it comes to making your presence felt. You got to move and shake too. You got to get in these streets. People got to see you. You got to be on that them social media platforms. You gotta let people see that you're not playing with the shit that you're passionate about. You know what I'm saying? You gotta go to these clubs, you gotta get in these DJs' faces. Don't be overbearing ever. That will definitely turn a few people off. But you go in these spots, you try to get your records played, you try to meet people, you network with them, get the relationships with the DJs, get the relationships with the promoters of these clubs, and be able to move and shake. You got to always finagle your way into the rooms that you need to be in. And there's no one way to tell you how to do that, because every situation is different. But you got to make your presence felt, and you need to do it mindfully, because you never want to turn anyone off. You never want to make people feel like you was doing too much or being overwhelming. You make people feel like when they see you, they want to continuously embrace you with grace and with a warm welcome. So you got to figure out how to navigate treading that water so that you can successfully execute making your presence felt, but you're doing it within reason so that you can always be welcomed back in these rooms. And it also will help you get into other rooms, because motherfuckers will be even more helpful when they see that you carried yourself in a way that they will feel good about co-signing. You know what I'm saying?
No, 100%, bro. I really appreciate that, man, for real. And I think that I know there's some artists in here too that I'm sure would greatly appreciate that advice as well. So I appreciate it. And I don't know if my dad's in here, but he was just texting me on the side, just listening to you speak, just telling me how proud he is of you and your growth as a musician, but overall a human being. So just wanted to share that energy as
Wow, tell
well.
your dad I am super honored, and as a father myself, is nothing greater than to, you know, be given your flowers by another great man that is also a father, and to be able to see, you know, his son represent himself as well as you are representing yourself. So, you know, hats off to you and hats off to your dad. You know what I mean? And being that we crossed paths before, whatever that impression was that you made on me, for me to be able to share that time with you when we was in the studio, you did some shit that was right, because I'm an energy person. If the energy don't feel right, I'm not talking to you. If the energy feels right, I'm gonna embrace it with grace, because obviously I don't want to be, taking an energy on, because we're all conductors of energy. So obviously you don't want to walk in a room and then leave feeling compromised as far as your peace of mind and your happiness is concerned.
That's love, bro. See, already, this is why that talk in the studio was so fire. Because I just off of that, what you just said, I already got three more questions, but I know everybody got time and places to be, so we can save that for another conversation. But I appreciate that, bro.
No
That's love.
question. I appreciate you. And you see, we are reconnecting. So there's got to be something that's happening in the universe to allow us to engage more than once. So whatever that is that you're doing to contribute to that good energy, keep doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because we are obviously finding these opportunities to reconnect through other mediums and through other means that is allowing us to further the dialogue. And that's what's up.
Facts, love, bro. Appreciate that.
Maximum love.
Alex, man, thank you for the question, dude. I have massive respect for Alex, man. He's like